When the X-Men were being created, Stan Lee thought it would be an interesting idea to make Professor Charles Xavier, the leader of the X-Men, physically limited, since his mind was already so powerful. And when you introduce a character trait like that, you are, of course, going to need some explanation in continuity about how he lost the use of his legs. The sad thing is that he didn't just suffer a crippling accident once, but actually quite a few times. Every time Professor X gains the ability to walk again, the comic status quo just puts him right back in a chair, and that's not fair. So how exactly did Professor X become paralyzed? Well, it's kind of a long story. Welcome to Comic Misconceptions, I'm Scott, and Professor X is one of those characters that I thought I knew until I started researching for this video. On the surface, he seems pretty straightforward. He's a mentally powerful mutant who is paralyzed from the waist down, but I wanted to know, what was the accident that put him in that chair? And because this is comics, of course it's needlessly complicated, so sit up straight and let's begin. Seriously, sit up, your posture it's atrocious. In Uncanny X-Men number 20 from 1966, we see how he lost the use of his legs for the first time. A young Charles Xavier went searching for a mysterious walled city in the Himalayas. What he found when he came upon it was that certain civilians were being mind-controlled by alien technology to keep every other citizen in line. Xavier, being the kind of person that he is, got together a band of rebels to overthrow the city's ruler, whose identity was unknown to everyone who lived there. But one of the rebels was actually a minion of the evil ruler and sabotaged Xavier's plan. Thinking on his feet, that was in poor taste. Thinking quickly, Charles manages to lead the rebellion through all the traps set for them, and they take the palace for themselves. But Charles goes to confront the leader all by himself, who is revealed to be an alien named Lucifer, who is trying to do what all aliens want to do and lead an invasion of Earth. Just as Xavier learns his name, Lucifer hits a switch on the wall that for some reason was pre-programmed to release a massive stone block from the ceiling, and that stone landed on Charles, crushing his legs. Lucifer got away that day, and Professor X reveals that it was this encounter that was one of his main reasons why he founded the X-Men in the first place. He needed a team for whenever Lucifer attacked again. And this is exactly what happens. The next time Lucifer showed up, the X-Men were there to foil his plans. Lucifer's superiors didn't like how incompetent he was, so they banished him to a nameless dimension outside of space and time. Lucifer might have disappeared from existence, but the damage he caused to the Professor was still present. And that would remain the status quo for a while, until Uncanny X-Men number 167 from 1983, when Professor X's body is completely destroyed. You see, there's a race of parasitic aliens called the Brood that spread across the universe, injecting their eggs into anything that moves, and when the eggs hatch, the host body is completely consumed and transformed into a member of the Brood, which looks like giant insects. Xavier, well, he got really unlucky, and not only had the eggs of just any Brood inside of him, he had the Brood Queen embryo. It burst out of his body and attacked the X-Men, and right as Wolverine and Cyclops were fighting over who gets to kill it, the Professor's consciousness comes through. He might be physically gone, but his mental transformation wasn't complete, so they decide to try and fix Professor X. They learn they can't reverse the metamorphosis, but they can clone his body from an old tissue sample and upload his consciousness to the new clone body. The procedure works, and Xavier's new body even has the benefit of having working legs, though he does have to train himself to walk again, which makes sense. His new body and new legs would serve him well until the Muir Island saga? Muir Island? I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's say Muir Island saga from 1991, when a powerful being known as the Shadow King posed a threat to the X-Men. Now, the Shadow King is basically solely made of psionic power, and he's able to possess people, making them do whatever he wills. And much like Lucifer, Professor X says that the Shadow King was the reason why he created the X-Men in the first place. Make up your mind, Chuck. It's one of the most powerful things in existence, but you can't even keep your story straight. Perhaps that mind of yours would be better in someone else's hands. Yeah, anyway, to defeat the Shadow King, Xavier has to go into the astral realm and battle him psychically. Shadow King has a deep hatred for Professor X. He knows that Charles felt agony and frustration when he was disabled, and he wants to return the Professor to that former state. He starts by breaking Xavier's leg, since his physical body reacts to the psionic attacks. Then Professor's whole body starts breaking. Thankfully, the other X-Men join the fight in the astral plane. But here's the thing, when you go into the astral plane, your physical body just lies there. So with no one to protect Professor X's body, Shadow King, who is currently in possession of the Professor's son David, threatens to to crush Charles's body if the X-Men continue to attack. Professor X gives the command for them to defeat Shadow King no matter the cost. The X-Men are victorious in their fight and go to the Professor, who reveals that the Shadow King had gotten one last shot in and shattered Charles's spine. He once again cannot walk. You'd think that that might be the end of it, but it's not. For this next part, we need to travel all the way back to before Charles was born in a story from 2002. It's revealed that Charles actually had a twin sister who died in the womb. It gets a little weird here, but she was essentially the exact opposite of Charles, like Xavier. She tried to kill Charles in the womb, but Charles fought back with his telepathic powers that were apparently already advanced. A race of aliens known as the Shi'ar have a name for this concept, and that name is one that I will butcher. It's the Mumudrai. The basic idea is that everyone faces an anti-version of themselves before they are born. Charles appeared victorious, however, the evil entity survived and was able to build itself a body somehow and become known as Cassandra Nova. Cassandra launched a sentinel attack that killed 16 million mutants. When she was captured by the X-Men, she tried to escape using her immense psychic powers, but Emma Frost snapped her neck, and then Professor X shot her a bunch. So that's definitely one way to do it. As it turns out, she actually swapped consciousness with Professor Xavier so that her mind would be in his body and his mind would be in her dying body. Sound familiar, Superior Spider-Man? Part of Cassandra's plan was to introduce nano sentinels, those like tiny versions of those giant mutant killing machines, into the X-Men's bloodstreams in order to weaken them. To try and restore the Professor and everyone weakened by the nano sentinels, Cyclops contacts a healer named Zorn, who we'll talk more about in a minute. Zorn heals the X-Men of the nano sentinels floating around in their bodies and attempts to take down Cassandra, who is still wreaking havoc inside Charles's body. He lunges at her and screams, "I can heal you!" But it doesn't really seem to do anything. Later, when they finally stop Cassandra and restore the Professor's mind to his body, it's revealed that he can walk again because Zorn had actually healed his spine. This lasted for about a year before it was shown in New X-Men number 146 that Zorn was really Magneto, who was presumed dead during the Sentinel attack that was launched by Cassandra. It was also revealed that he hadn't actually healed Professor X's spine. Rather, he used those nano sentinels coupled with his mutant power over magnetism to glue his spine together. But now Magneto was ready to make his move on the X-Men, and that all starts with releasing the nano sentinels and making Charles paralyzed again. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but a key thing to note is that this wasn't really Magneto. Zorn was just impersonating him in a really complex plan that involved using the face of Magneto as he would go about doing horrible acts of violence as a way to convince humanity that mutant kind needed to be eradicated. The plan kind of ended up working, though, but also Wolverine sliced Zorn's head off, so there. So is that the end then? Did Professor X remain permanently paralyzed? Of course he didn't. During the House of M event in 2005, Scarlet Witch used her vast powers to greatly alter the reality in a number of ways, and one of those reality changes was the apparent death of Charles Xavier. But when they went to his grave, they discovered that there's no body buried there. When reality was restored, Scarlet Witch had reduced the mutant population down to only a few hundred around the world. She didn't kill all the mutants, but simply took away their powers. Meanwhile, Charles Xavier is still missing. Not even Cerebra can find him. He eventually comes out of hiding after a few months, and surprise, surprise, he can walk again. He briefly explains that when Scarlet Witch remade the world, she gave him the ability to use his legs again, but took away his telepathic abilities as a way of showing him, quote, what being a cripple really was. Do not worry, my friends, he did get his powers back not long after, and he maintained both his telepathy and ability to walk, and this was the status quo of Professor X for quite some time, actually all the way until he was killed in Avengers vs. X-Men by Cyclops in 2012. And that's basically all you need to know about how and why Professor Charles Xavier seems to continuously lose and gain the use of his legs. Oh man, that was a lot of stuff. You know who made it easy? The Ultimate Comics. Magneto just throws a metal spear through Xavier's spine. End of story. I know I didn't cover every single time that Professor X has gotten the ability to walk. I just wanted to cover what I think are the essentials. The story of him temporarily being able to walk again in Uncanny X-Men number 297 is a really touching tale, but it only lasted for one issue, so it's not super important. Though I did just mention it, so I guess you win this time, Jubilee. What do you guys think? Does Professor X having or not having the ability to walk impact his character or personality at all? And which story did you like the best? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. And if this is your first time hanging out with us here at NerdSync, we make new videos every week that ask questions and examine comics beyond the surface because we believe that doing so can actually enhance your comic book reading experience and make comics just a little more awesome. So make sure you hit that big sexy subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Once again, I'm Scott. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you right here on Friday for a tie-in video. I will see you. You better be here. All right, I'll see you.